With respect to solar for residential, it varies within the size and the consumption of the home. So basically it's a design factor. The generated capacity of the average home in Jamaica was between 2 to 300 kilowatt hours, and the current rate that they pay in electricity for rate 10, which is residential, is between $27 to $32 per kilowatt hour. The main limitation right now, there are more than one, but the main one is affordability and proper financing of the system. Definitely, without doubt, I wouldn't be in the business, one, and I wouldn't have the passion of, well, the oldest company in the business. And one of the main things I had looked at and what my dream was to make every rooftop in Jamaica have solar on it. Now, this is not to compete with JPS. It must be a win-win. I believe in win-win. JPS can still supply the commercial sectors, the lighting for street lights, that type of thing. But for residential and to increase the GDP averages so low for Jamaica, just imagine if people did not have this expense and could invest in something that would give them this power, and they own the power themselves and manage the power themselves. This will ease the pressure on the foreign exchange, the balance of payments, the social welfare of the country.
JPS has 5 existing hydro plants, and so they were built like 30 years ago and rehabilitated. So the cost of them has been amortized over a period of time. So it's really a benefit now because it's not using fuel, and so it's just using water, but you have a maintenance cost. We built, however, a hydro plant last year. So we just built a 7 megawatts of hydro generation capacity, which produces about 13 kilowatt hours per year. Most of our hydros are what we call run of the river, which means we're producing electricity once the river is running. If the river goes down in the drought period, it will be affected. Really the land and the environmental issues, because a lot of your hydro potential, your good hydro potential will be with dams. You'd have to flood certain areas in order to achieve that. So that's why we have kept to the run of the river, but the run of the river subjects you to variability, and you only have a few rivers that will give you that constant flow with the variability of waterfalls. The other limitations, a lot of our waterfalls are tourist attractions, and certainly nobody would want to see Duns River generating power. We have done studies. There are a few rivers, quite a bit, at least another 10 rivers with a potential of about 90 megawatt. The big challenge with hydro is the cost. Hydro tends to be more costly than all the other forms of renewables right now because of the hardware and extensive civil requirements and road and infrastructure needed, and the interconnection requirement, because you have to go to where the river is, you have to connect it into the grid. JPS has a small wind farm which is 3 megawatts. A wind farm is supposed to be operating at about 30% capacity factor for it to be viable. The 3 megawatt one that we had put up was connected to the distribution grid, so you're getting a little lower capacity factor. So you normally would do the 3 megawatt times the number of hours in the year and then multiply it by 30%. Wigton has a total capacity of about 40 megawatts, and they would have about a 31% capacity factor. Cost of energy to the consumer now is running about 30 cents, a little bit lower than 30, 25 to 30 cents, but that includes transmission and everything, so the district, so you have generation costs separate. The limitation on wind is really associated with areas of availability of wind, and in order to make a project viable you have to have a 33% availability of wind in that locale. So typically you have to do wind studies or map wind studies across the island. So that's why we have Monroe and Wigton. That central section of Jamaica has some good wind. Certainly not, because we don't produce oils. Yeah, we should try and rely more on indigenous materials if it's in terms of our preference. But the reality is, are we forced to rely upon oil now? Right now we are forced. So 98% of our electricity usage is based on oil in our transportation sector. But it's important, it's not helping our balance of payment. And that's why we don't want to push to renewables, because it's right here. But in order to move to renewables, there are costs associated with the development of renewables.
Speaking from the party perspective, I don't know if any document out there that mandates or facilitates it. I think it's so far just been a purely private initiative. The short answer is no. I mean, I'm not sure the Jamaican public is so educated on disposing of garbage in the first place, let alone recycling. Yeah, I think they would get a lot of support if people were convinced that they'd financially gain. Waste to energy, as the name implies, you're converting different types of waste to a usable form of energy, whether that energy be fuel, whether that energy be electricity. The type of waste energy that's more prominent across the world is what they call incineration-based waste energy. It's converting municipal solid waste to electricity by burning the waste, generating heat, which generates steam. That steam drives a turbine. That turbine drives a generator, which produces electricity. The good thing about waste energy, it solves two problems at once. It solves the problem of proper waste disposal. We really don't have land space to do so-called landfills. And I say so-called landfills because we really don't have landfills, we have dump sites. So it solves that problem where you can carry a solid waste to a proper disposal facility while generating electricity, which helps to solve the whole problem of using indigenous supplies of energy, helps to solve the problem of supplying back to the grid using alternative energy. And it also reduces emissions, because from landfills you have methane, which is 23 times more potent than carbon dioxide. There's the argument of tipping fees. When you bring your waste to Riverton or to whichever dump site you bring your waste to, you have to pay to the government or to NSWMA in this case, so quote unquote treat it. When you build a waste to energy plant and you're going to divert that waste away from Riverton. Then there's the argument that NSWMA should be paid for that waste that's been diverted. In a lot of other countries, in fact in most other countries that have waste energy, the norm is that if I'm going to take your waste, then you need to pay me. Jamaica isn't there yet where tipping fee is concerned. I'd ask that there is a policy being developed by NSWMA on how tipping fees should be handled, but I don't know where it is. It has to. I mean, I don't know the exact figure, but I know we're over 90% dependent on imported fuels, and that carries a host of problems. I think we have to, at some point in time, just bite that bullet and just commit. In a careful way, of course, you can't just switch over fully to renewable energy. It has to happen gradually, and it has to be a mix of some conventional energy sources as well, but we definitely need a much larger percentage of renewable energy or alternative energy.
Is your energy